welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin, and today we're going to be reading into your energy, insights, and guidance coming in for your week ahead. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so welcome back to those of you who join me for these weekly readings every single Monday. It's lovely to have you guys back here again during this fun holiday season. Happy holidays to everyone who's joined me here today. For me, it's Christmas as well as Yule happening this week, so it's a really fun and exciting week for me. And so I really wanted to read into the different energy that's coming in, especially during this holiday season, although this is a timeless video, so this may find you at a very specific time in your life, and that's completely fine too. But to those of you who are new to the channel here today, welcome. It's lovely to have you here. Like I said, my name is Caitlin, and I do readings like this for you guys every single week, as well as readings on your blessings for each month. And I also do timeless readings as well, using tarot, charms, and oracle cards, as well as some other ones too, like my watercolor affirmations here and Lenormand cards. So if you're interested in all these different forms of divination and different kind of fun methods, as well as just these readings that I provide, feel free to subscribe and join this tarot and charm loving community. I'd love to have you guys here. So yeah, big warm welcome, and let's go ahead and get started by looking at these piles. Okay, so for pile number 1 here, I have this little ornament that is kind of more vintage looking. It's got this beautiful tarnish to it, and it's these 3 different candles. So this is pile number 1. For pile number 2 here, we have this gold leaping deer, or it can even be seen more as a reindeer depending on whatever you believe in or look into, or holidays that you have. But you have this little reindeer here, or deer in general, leaping through the sky. So that is pile number 2. And lastly, I do have a bit of pyrite here, but that's mostly just to hold this specific one up. But this is pile number 3, and it's an angel holding this little star here. So that is pile number 3. So if any of these resonate, feel free to check them out and look through them or pause the video. But let's go ahead and take a deep breath together now so you can make a better decision and really utilize your intuition and sort of slow down so that we can take a deep breath together. So let's go ahead and do that right now. So as always, you can choose any one of the piles here. You can choose pile 1, 2, 3. You can choose all 3 of them, 2 of the piles. Choose a pile, change your mind, whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. So just follow your intuition or pause the video to make your decision. But for those of you who already know which pile is for you, you can go ahead and use the chapter marks within the video, or go down into the description where you will find the different timestamps that I have provided below for your specific pile. But I also have things like my Instagram, the different decks and supplies that I use, and also how to get different private readings through my DMs or my email. So if you're interested in any of that, that'll all be down below in the description for your convenience, as well as some other fun things. So if you're interested in any of that, take a little look-see. I do really appreciate it. But for those of you who are ready, let's go ahead and get started with pile number 1. Hello, group 1. If you've decided to choose this little candle ornament with this vintage feel to it, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set it right down here for you so you can see it during your reading here today, as we are going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations. We're also going to be using the Linestrider Tarot deck, the spellcasting oracle deck, and the Language of Flowers oracle deck as well. So let's go ahead and get started with your messages from the Linestrider Tarot. I'm really excited to see what you guys have coming in. I know the holidays can be crazy and there's a lot of energy floating around all the time. So let's just get some information on your guys' week, group 1. So what do we need to know about group 1's week ahead? All right, so first off, you got all 3 cards right here. So you have the 7 of Cups here, the Lovers, and the 2 of Swords. Wow, okay. let's go ahead and see what else you have coming in. Start here with the spellcasting oracle. So let's see what you have coming in. Group one for your week ahead. There we are. Okay, let's see. All right, so you have here courage. That's lovely. So you have courage alongside the lovers, the 2 of swords, and the 7 of cups here. So let's see your final message from the cards. Actually, there's one more. So one of your final messages from the cards here for your week ahead, group 1, the week ahead for group 1. What do we need to know about group 1's week ahead? All right, there we go. So you also have here, heart sees compassion, tread a little more tenderly. Compassion. Okay. We'll get your final message here before we do the charms later on in the video, so stay tuned for those later on in the reading. But group one, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for group 1's week ahead. What do we need to know? All right, and then you also have here, be a little bolder, right? And you had courage as well, so be a little bolder and courage showing up here. And you have that whole little mountain, like you're trying to climb over something. All right, so let's go ahead and deep dive into what you have for your guys' week. All right, so you have quite a lot of indecision coming up here because you have the 2 of swords, which is a big indicator of indecision, not being able to choose between one sword or the other, not being able to choose between one path or the other, making a decision and really just using your intuition to make that decision. As you can see, they have this blindfold over their eyes, so they have to make the decision without looking at every single little fact and just knowing innately that they have the facts, they have all of the information that they need right now. It's just now you have to decide where you want to go with that information, right? So you've done the research, you've done all the things that you need to do to get to this decision. It's now just making that next step, being a little bolder, having that courageous step forward, because you have not only be a little bolder and courageous or courage, but I just see you like stepping through that, right? Because you have this sort of window around courage, which just showcases to me that you're trying to like step through that like little passageway there, and you're just trying to figure out what's actually holding you back, because as you can see, there's nothing in the way, but for some reason there is something sort of creating this indecision for you, because you have the 7 of cups, which is all about indecision as well. You have all these little cups, these little shards floating above her right here, right? And you just can't decide which piece to grab for. You almost have too many pieces, or you're not really sure how to put the pieces together to create the whole picture that you are wanting. So this card can also talk about daydreaming or fantasizing or thinking that, sort of fairy tale life, that everything is going to be perfect. And sometimes when we realize that we can't have all of these things, or that things aren't, you have all these facts now, that you're realizing that maybe you can't have everything you want to step through this hoop, or that everything that you did see just feels like, a lot to reach for. So it's just going to take, you have to get over that boulder. You have to get over that step forward. You have to be vulnerable, really deep dive in, and be compassionate with yourself as well this week. Because when you step through this, when you get more courageous, that comes from confidence, that comes from bravery, that comes from strength within us, right? And then having both the Lovers card, which might mean that you might be deciding between someone whom you're interested in right now, especially with compassion as well. So you might be interested in someone right now and you haven't made that next step or that move, or all the facts on this person, you know them really well. You might even be in a friendship with them and you haven't made that next step forward. Or this can even be, seeing as we have a lot of family members coming in, it can be family, it can be friends, or it can be someone on a romantic sense. Whichever way resonates most with you specifically in this situation for your week is going to be the path that you should look into the most. But the thing that people sometimes forget about the Lovers card is it doesn't always necessarily mean someone external. Sometimes it can mean getting back together with yourself, finding yourself again. So I feel like maybe you have felt very fractured, right? Like maybe something has happened for some of you where you feel kind of fractured, like all these little pieces and shards are above you and you can't piece it all back together. And that's what's causing this like sort of frazzled situation where you can't really see your next step forward to even make that step. But sometimes it isn't about seeing the step, right? Sometimes it's just about innately knowing yourself and giving yourself enough power to even step into it. So empowering yourself. And empowerment comes from sometimes looking through our vulnerable moments, being bolder with ourselves, having to look over the shoulder of this cliff or this this boulder, whatever it is that's in your path or that you feel is in your path. And it's just hard to look over it. So for some of you, it's because you haven't made that decision on whom you're interested in. You haven't made that decision on whether or not to make a step with them forward. Or it can be self-love, where you just feel like you're not giving yourself enough sort of healing through what you've been going through. Because this almost feels, the Seven of Cups feels like for some of you, it's that fantasy element where you're not really sure where to go. But then the other side of it, like I was saying with the self-love, I feel like some of you might have gone through something quite difficult because of all the colors and the dripping of this card. It makes me feel almost like it's upside down, not in a reverse necessarily, but just looking at it this way, you can see she's sort of deep diving into, this abyss, right? So I feel like some of you things are just going to be kind of coming up, maybe things that had to do with your childhood, had to do with, because of that fantasy childhood element. But for some of you, it also could just be that you're sort of having to deep dive. The holidays can really bring out a lot of those deeper emotions with us, and especially around other people whom we haven't seen for a while. And it might just catch you off guard, right? It's going to feel like it's just all of a sudden there. But I think you guys have the courage this week to get through those if you continue to have that compassion for yourself. And compassion doesn't come from just only loving yourself, but truly giving yourself like as if you view yourself as a friend, So when you're talking to yourself in your mind, talk to yourself as if you're talking to a friend. Instead of putting yourself down, empower yourself, bring yourself back up, bring yourself higher in that boulder this week, because some of you might have just been kind of stepping down from that, disempowering yourself. And I think you guys are going to be finding a little bit more, deep diving a little bit more, and that's going to be kind of a vulnerable thing. Like this card says, tread a little bit more tenderly, which just means, give yourself a little bit of space this week to feel those emotions, to be vulnerable. And a lot of power and a lot of truth about yourself can come forward. But when you pass through those things, if you really feel them, let those waves come in and then let those waves come out, that's when you're going to be able to open up some new room, shift a few things around inside so that you can, make new decisions, move forward. And this might even be for some of you, it's just in general, you're feeling both of these this week rather, that you have two paths you're actually having to deal with, one having to do with yourself and one having to do with a relationship externally from you. But with all of that said, let's go ahead and get some more information with the charms here. Group 1, you guys are gonna have maybe a more deep week, but I think it is truly needed for some of you. So, be compassionate with yourselves. Don't try to block it all out. Try to feel it, let yourself process it. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to these charms. So group 1, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for group 1. For the week ahead. Okay, so let's see what you have going on and just sort of sort some of this out. I actually did put this charm away, but I'm just feeling, because of all of the heart-centered stuff, I'm going to go ahead and pull you a chakra love card in the specific chakra of the heart chakra as it fell on your board, or just slightly off. So I'm going to go ahead and pull one of those for you before we get started on the charms here. All right, so here are all the heart chakra cards. So let's go ahead and pull you one for your week before I finish sorting all of these, because I'm very interested to see some more information on the compassion that you need to bring in. Okay, so I'm going to take this one because it fell first. Of course, you got the one that actually says compassion on it. I forgot one of these said compassion. So it says here, the heart chakra, and if you work with any sort of crystals this week, it's sort of showcasing here jade for you, which actually, this is a piece of jade. So jade is your crystal to utilize, or at least, you know, some of the properties of jade could be helpful for you. But it says compassion here. Resolve your conflicts with compassion. So there might be a conflict going on. Like I said, there's an inner conflict for some of you. So seeing as you had 2 more fall, I'm going to go ahead and take those as well and see what else comes up. So you have connection. Father Divine and Mother Earth make love in your heart. So this is more of a connection to the external, to your spiritual side. And the one that's on the back here is Green Ocean Jasper. And then your next one is here, Rhodonite, which I love rhodonite. It's a wonderfully healing stone. And it says love. Love is a verb, so make it your most treasured action. So wonderful to see, right? Because I feel like you guys are just sort of having to move into this new phase of compassion for yourself, you know, getting over something that has been a roadblock for you for a while, and it's kind of bubbled up and it's coming back to the surface for you. But I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of these charms and sort things out so we can actually see what's going on here, because you have a few things. So yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in so you can see more of what's happening here on the board. There we go. All right, so let's get started on these charms. So right here in the center of your week, you have the Parrot charm and the Ace of Pentacles. So the Ace of Pentacles is all about a new opportunity in business or in an external thing. So either working on maybe people's gifts or working on something that you're crafting with your hand, something that's got tangible touch to it. So you're working towards something that is external from yourself, that could do with finances, job, career, or something that you can physically touch. So here is the Ace of Pentacles at the front of your week, which is really cool. So it's also about a new beginning in that, which is really nice. If you need that right now, that's popping up for you. You also have here the Parrot, which the parrot makes me think of, you know, being very chatty, very social, as they are very social, but they also do talk about sort of saying the same thing over and over and over again, right? Like parrots, they do learn language, but then they sort of fall into this loop of the same words over and over and over as they learn them. And so this can talk about repeating social patterns with other people, but it can also talk about repeating, you know, kind of like you're repeating your own cycles in a way. Or you're not having your own original thoughts, right? You're just parroting the same thing over and over again for yourself. Sorry, it got a little blurry here. But it just keeps repeating. You might be repeating the same sort of things to yourself. Like I said, you might be saying something without compassion to yourself, without love for yourself. And you've been maybe saying the same inner dialogues of, I'm not worthy, or I don't have enough of this, or even maybe something to do with your job or finances. Maybe you don't feel like you have enough of that worth, and that's kind of bubbling up right in your emotions this week. So whatever that is, it's about having a new beginning in that, right? Changing that mindset towards connecting back to yourself, connecting with love, connecting to that compassionate side of yourself. Having compassion like you do for your friends, because you can see you have the selfless charm happening here too. So you've been very selfless. You give a lot, and you give a lot to other people, but you don't really give enough to yourself. You're not giving yourself enough love, enough care. Self-care is very prominent here, and because of that, some things have just been left under the surface, and instead you've continued these cycles, and unfortunately they have come up in some ways, but even though that it's going to be difficult to sometimes push through those waves, like I said, because they can be very powerful, you do have the transformation charm showing up here with the butterfly here. And then next to it, you also have the tower charm, which talks about breaking down barriers and breaking down those boulders that have been in your path. So I really do see you connecting back to yourself, connecting back to some of these things that have been deeper and farther in you, so that you can transform, so you can sort of get through them to the next cycle that you want. So the only way to move forward sometimes is to have to deal with these blocks and boulders in our path. And I think that's a big key to your week here. Also, for some of you who I was talking about earlier, if you felt like you are in a relationship or want to be in a relationship right now and you haven't made that move, you do have getting back on the saddle, right? So this is the saddle charm. It's getting back on the saddle, trying again, getting back up. It's the you fell down, but instead of staying down, you got up kind of feeling. So you have the selfless charm next to it. So maybe it's time to have an action that is for you, and maybe that means you're gonna have to, put yourself first here and make that decision. Be courageous enough to go after someone, because you do have courage. You have the young, naive sort of fantasy courage that comes up here, which is really lovely to see. And then you have it next to the react charm, which is all about reacting, or having a reaction towards someone. So you want to be with them, you want to make that move, but because it's react means that you've probably thought it through way too much, and now it's time to just make that move. Okay, just make the move, see what happens, because if you just continue these cycles of staying away from it, it's probably not going to happen. Especially too if you want to change up your career or anything like that this week, or something in the more pentacle side of things, that also could connect here. Next to the heart chakra charm, you have the meditation charm. So this is all about meditating, possibly even with drum music or something that has very rhythmic, like maybe for your breathing, or something that like waves are very rhythmic. And I've been talking about waves a lot. They've been popping up a lot here. So maybe listening to ocean sounds and music and meditating to that, being more mindful with that, might help you to sort of slow down your mind enough to maybe even journal or work through some of what is holding you back, to see it from an objective point of view, from a friend sort of point of view in your mind, instead of seeing it from only your perspective, could be helpful here. You also have the grounding charm next to an idea. So you have an idea popping up here. And then the rock charm. So it does make me think of the boulder again, where you feel like you have an idea on the other side, and you think something's in your path, right? You think that you've got this in your way, but from your ideas and these things that you want from this Ace of Pentacles, anything like that. But really, if you just, see it more clearly and have more compassion for yourself, that empowerment is going to move forward for you, so that you can break these barriers that are, impacting you heavily. I'm not going to say that they aren't there. I'm not going to say that they aren't true to you. But like it says here, resolve your conflicts with compassion. So really, compassion is such a powerful thing, because it's just like what is that word? I can't think of what the word is, but basically it's like where you have, I'll probably put it on the screen because I can't think of what exactly it is. It's like on the tip of my tongue. Isn't that so annoying? But basically where you love someone so much that you will give anything, right? So this is what you need for yourself. So that's really exciting to see. I think love is super important. It's very impactful, and it's really at the heart of your week here. But you also have here, again, finances coming up with the heart, next to honor thy mother and thy father charm. And then the star, which makes me think of an idea popping in. So maybe you have this new exciting career or something. Maybe this block has something to do with your career or your finances, or something more external, that you've you've, having to, just because something is external, like in the physical world, like our job or a career, doesn't mean it doesn't affect us internally, the way that we view ourselves or the way that we process our emotions towards these physical things. So I think that maybe you feel, you're trying to honor your mother or your father or someone of your ancestral line or something on that sort of front, that you're putting so much work to it. You're being selfless. You're putting so much work into maybe what they want or what you're trying to do to honor them, that you haven't been honoring yourself. Maybe you're repeating cycles that they would like you to have. And those cycles are breaking down, right? Those things aren't going to stay there forever. Because you're your own person, right? And so when you resolve these conflicts with them and within yourself, especially since you had Father and Mother Divine, Father Divine and Mother Earth showing up here with connection, I think maybe you feel like maybe they don't value your work or value what you would like to go after instead of what they maybe have put an expectation on you for. And that might be only for a few of you, but I do see that coming up here too, especially with seeing more family members and having those different connections popping up again here for some of you. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do a recap here for you, group 1 here. So basically, the heart of your week is about pushing through these boulders that have been in your path for a while. You're ready to move forward on something, but there is an emotional barrier that's sort of been brought up. So maybe you've been like gang-ho, you're like, yes, I really want to go towards this thing. But all of a sudden there's been these roadblocks and all of these old emotions sort of bubbling back up because of the holidays or anything like that, where you're feeling them again. And, that can connect to a lot of the things having to do with your mother or your father or someone within your guardian sort of or ancestral line, something on that level where maybe you don't feel like they have value in what you do or what you want to go and achieve, what you're ready for. And maybe that even has to do with a person too, seeing as this is something external as well. If you're interested in someone, maybe they don't find the value in that person, and that's how that's affecting you as well in past relationships and in love in your life. But you have compassion coming up twice, so that can be compassion for yourself and compassion for the people you are talking to, so that you can have honest and true conversations that are a little bit more bold, but they are true to and authentic to you. Right? So I think that that's really important to have those conversations, to work through with some meditation, to come forward with what you're thinking about. So you can make these decisions and, move forward on them because you're ready to move forward. You are. But there are some of those roadblocks that you're having to work through all of a sudden this week. And I think you guys are going to definitely work through them. And that's lovely to see. That's going to give you the growth so you can transform, so you can be your own person. And that's so lovely and empowering to see. So with all of that said, group 1, I hope you enjoyed this reading. Please let me know if you did down in the comments, if there are any certain charms that really spoke to you or any of the cards or certain themes here today. I'd love to know and appreciate the feedback. Also, please be sure to give this video a like if you really did like it. And if you're new and you'd like to join in on all of these fun tarot readings, please be sure to subscribe and join this community. And with all of that said, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Hello group 2, if you've decided to choose this reindeer or deer in general, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set it right down here for you so you can see it during your reading, as today we are going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations. We're also going to be using the spellcasting oracle and the language of flowers oracle, and the deck of choice today is the Linestrider Tarot. So let's go ahead and start reading into your week, group 2, and see what else is coming in. I know the holidays can be stressful. It can bring up different things for each of us, and in general, it's always nice to get some insights on your week. So let's go ahead and get started. Group 2, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for group 2. So you have here the Sun. All right. So let's see some more information. So group 2, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for group 2 on their week ahead. The weekly energy for group 2. Group 2, Group 2, Group 2. Group 2, Group 2. Ooh. Okay. So you also have here the 8 of Cups. See your final message here. So Group 2, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for Group 2 on their week. All right. See what flew out here. So you have here the King of Swords. So the King of Swords, the Sun, and the 8 of Cups. Those are your tarot cards for the week. Let's go ahead and look at your spellcasting oracle for the week. So Group 2, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for Group 2. Okay, so here you have Passion. So you have Passion showing up here. Very fiery, especially with that sun too. All right, so let's see your next message here. So Group 2, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for Group 2, What do we need to know about Group 2's week ahead? For any energy, insights, or guidance coming in for Group 2. Okay. So you have here, breathe. Calm, rest, stop, and just be. So you have here, breathe. If it'll show up anyway. There you go. So breathe. And finally, let's go ahead and look at your watercolor affirmation, but we will be doing the charms later on in the video, so stay tuned for those. So Group 2, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for Group 2's week ahead. The week ahead for Group 2. All right. So you have here, you are manifesting. So some of you might be magical. Some of you might be very magical or work with different elements or anything like that, very spiritual, and try to manifest certain things within your life. So that might be coming up, or in general you're manifesting whether you know it or not, based off of the intentions that you're putting out to the universe and the different rituals you might be doing. But let's go ahead and deep dive into your week, Group 2, and see what you have going on here. So immediately, because you are manifesting came up, and because I felt that magical sense, and just in general, this Passion card makes me think of a more magical sense to your week. Some of you might be interested in the winter solstice or the summer solstice, depending on where you are in the world. But that is happening on the 21st. So when I put this up, this is the either longest or shortest day of the year, depending on which hemisphere you are from. And so the sun is the sun has a lot to do with this time of year, because the sun is coming either as the shortest or longest day of the year, which means either the sun is in the southern hemisphere at the height of it. You're going to see it for the most during the day. And you should really flourish in that and really enjoy, the excitement that it gives. The sun card really really showcases our innocence. It showcases our young, naive, fun-loving, playful sort of side of ourselves. This passion, this fire, this drive, this excitement, right? It's really fun. And then on top of that, you also have in the Western Hemisphere, which is where I'm at, the sun is sort of going away. We've got a lot of snow coming in, a lot of colder weather, longer nights. And so the sun is actually coming back right now. So after the 21st, the sun is coming back. We're going to be getting the sun a couple minutes more every single day, and you can actually feel that more vital energy coming back, that more passionate energy, that fiery energy start to spark back in us as we get closer to spring. So for each of you, this could resonate differently depending on where you're at, but I do see the sun having a big playing part within your week and in the way that you feel passion, whether you really have a spiritual sense towards this holiday or towards this very big event on the earth, whether you see it more logically or not, it's still going to affect us, right? So it's still affecting us in some way or another. But just because it is bringing back that vital energy doesn't mean that the Eight of Cups and other sort of cards showcasing here showcase that there's still going to be that hibernation period that happens, especially for some of us in the Western Hemisphere. And just because the sun is also going away in the Southern Hemisphere, you're going to have some of that come in too, right? Where you have the sun sort of going away, or just in general, we're going into that part of the year where the holidays can be over and some of that seasonal depression can come in, and you can feel that deeper emotion coming in too. So with the Eight of Cups, it does showcase walking away from something, retreating, taking that rest for yourself, right? Because you also had Breathe, which says here, calm, rest, stop, and just be. So I feel like some of you need that hibernation moment, that almost hermit moment, to sort of recollect yourself and reorganize yourself so you can have some of this vital energy come in, but you're charging your battery at this time, right? Like, this is on its way, but you are charging your battery, right? So you need some time to yourself. So if you feel like you're in a lot of social settings right now, maybe even with a King of Swords in your life, so someone who is very intelligent and has a lot to say, they're very talkative, you might just feel like you need some time away from that social scene. So be sure, especially if you are that type of person who needs that time away to recharge your batteries for a social setting, this is your week to really take that time when you need it. Put those boundaries that you need so you can retreat for yourself and so you can be a better person when you come back. The Eight of Cups also does talk about walking away from these cups, which walks away from emotions that we don't want to be attached with anymore. So this can be a relationship with someone, especially with this King of Swords coming up here. So it might be a relationship with someone whom you are ready to move away from, right? Maybe they just don't make you feel good about yourself, right? They maybe, because this King of Swords, they can be a bit brash. They can be a little bit unemotional. They can tell you as it is. They can be kind of harsh. And so if you feel like that's coming in, even though they're very logical, don't get me wrong, they're very logical. They can say things that are very helpful. They can have great advice, but they also can be very unemotional sometimes in the way that they approach things. They can be very logical and less emotional. So if you feel like you need, especially since cup cards are about our emotions, if you need some time away from them, if they are sort of overshadowing what you need in your life right now, which is comfort and maybe compassion and maybe just a little bit of time to recharge those batteries for yourself, then that is okay. I'm letting you know that that is okay. It doesn't mean you have to leave them forever. It doesn't mean that it's this huge thing, but I do think you need that time to step away from this person right now, or at least step away from their energy and come back to them when you are ready. And that could be at the end of the week, that could be a day in. It just depends on what you need and how you are feeling. So reconnect with yourself on an emotional level and not only a logical level, and you'll have some of that come in for yourself, because you do have playful energy, you have young energy, this youthful energy, and sometimes it can get stuck in when you have King of Swords and the Sun coming next to each other. Those can be very opposite at times. So don't worry, it's okay if you need that time for yourself this week. Meditate, do some yoga, maybe even dance, because sometimes people think like resting means only meditation and like singing Kumbaya or whatever. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. Whatever rest is for you is what matters. So if you have here with this passion, what are you passionate about that's going to give you that revitalizing energy? Some people really love to draw or do art. Others love to dance. Some people really love, taking that nice bath or getting out in the sun. For some of you might even be a really big part of revitalizing your energy. Getting back out into the sun, embracing the sunlight, watching a sunset can be immensely powerful. It can bring power to you for this manifestation or something that you want to bring forth. If you have sort of a magical element in your life too, for some of you, you might be doing rituals on this specific or around the specific winter or summer solstice, so that might even be a part of your week too, having to do with maybe breaking barriers. So for some of you, this might even be just context for the intentions you might want to be bringing in for this specific part of the year. So with all of that said, group 2, I'm going to go ahead and move on to your charms so we can get some more information on your week, some more context, and see what else comes up for you. So let's go ahead and do that. Group 2. So group 2, we're looking for any information, energy, insight, or guidance coming in for group 2. Group 2 for their week ahead. Okay, it took me a minute to feel out your guys' charms. I don't know why specifically, but I was having a harder time really trying to figure out which charms really needed picked up here. A couple of them did fall in my lap, so I'm going to check those out real quick. And then you also did have a couple fall just beside the board, so I'm going to pick up those. But let's go ahead and I'll zoom you in early. I don't know why I felt like I needed to, but I'm going to go ahead and pick up these charms and sort out the board. And then we can go ahead and start looking into your specific reading. It always does help to get a little bit more context and figure out what is going on here just by sorting out the board. You had Dancer show up. That's so fun. I was definitely feeling that earlier with you guys. So yeah, so cool, so cool. Okay. All right, so I already zoomed you in, so let's go ahead and start diving into these charms. So right here in the center of your week, like I said, I felt like dancing was on your list, and then you have the Dancer showing up here, the dancing charm, the getting your body moving charm. So this can even be outside of just dancing. Some of you might be interested in different fitness or physical fitness or something that is more physical in a way to revitalize your energy, that brings back motivation in your life and passion towards something. That could be running, that could be weightlifting, that could be really anything that is sort of that more physical aspect of physical health for you. Alongside that, you also have here the Christmas tree charm. So some of you might be celebrating Christmas, not necessarily all of you, but some of you might be celebrating Christmas. But this also does talk to me about the layers and traditions in our life, right? Because they're kind of showing up in all these different layers towards the star. So I feel like you might be going through all resurfacing certain layers of traditions within your life that happen around this time of year, right? What traditions do you follow? What traditions do you not? And maybe you're getting a little bit flexible with those traditions because you do have the flexibility charm. And this has showed up a couple of different times in a few different readings about people changing their traditions this year. So especially with the type of year we're having with the pandemic, maybe traditions are just going to have to get a little bit more flexible, transform a little bit, because you also have the transformation charm. Because this used to be a spoon handle and now it is a pendant. So for some of you, you might be transforming something in your life that once was used one way and now is used another way, and neither way is better necessarily, but that tradition may be changing and having to evolve with the time we're in. And lastly, in your week, you have the energy of the hacksaw. So this is the hacksaw, which represents you hacking away at something. You're trying to chip something away, trying to move something off, and you're being kind of rough about it, right? Because this isn't like a clean cut that you're doing. You're just like, I'm just going to hack it off and get it done and over with, right? And it's very fast energy. And so seeing as you had that 8 of Cups show up here, you might be feeling like you need to move away from something, hack something off, move it away, cut it off from your life for a bit, maybe even cutting off a specific person like that King of Swords that we saw earlier. But it is important to make sure that you take the time that you need so that you don't have, these wounds that are going to take a long time, these emotional wounds that are going to take a long time to heal. So be sure that you're doing it, especially if this is a more heavy thing for some of you. For some of you, it may not be. It may just be literally just needing some rest and some time off. But if you feel like this is a more heavy thing for some of you, be sure that you're giving yourself the time that you need to heal, and that you're making sure you're not creating a nastier wound that you need. So be a little bit more level-headed about it, but yet it is still needed for you. So the next charm that I want to talk about here is you do have the dog charm. It says top dog, and then it's like a little bowl that says top dog with a little treat inside. So this can talk about more than just dogs, but in general, pets in our lives, or people who you put on a higher pedestal too, because you have the top dog sort of charm showing up. And so whichever way that resonates with you, you have the chip or the gambling chip. So this is playing games or having fun. So maybe you are playing more with your dog or your pet this week, but alongside that you also have the eye charm, which can represent the evil eye for some of you if that resonates, so that protection element, but it also does represent like watching over. For me specifically, seeing these charms together, seeing as I have a pet that's passed away, it makes me feel like they're watching over me, or I feel that protection from them, and maybe in a more playful way. So that may resonate different from each of you depending on your relationship with your pet at this current moment, but that is showing up here. You also, like I said, might be a more magical person because you have the spiritual leader sort of charm showing up here. So this is people that you work with, your spiritual team. So this could be angels, fairies, any other sorts of different creatures or spirits that you work with, deities, anything like that, or even different people in your life, like a priest or God, a goddess, anything like that. There's really no end to this. It just depends on what that word is for you or who those spiritual teachers and mentors are in your life. But they are showing up here. And next to that, you also have the magician sort of card that I've thrown in here. So you have the magician card. So this is all talking about using, you have sort of that magical side to yourself, whether you're using it or not. You are manifesting something in your life, and whatever you are manifesting, like I said, had probably something to do with the Eight of Cups. And then you have the partnership charm. So this represents a relationship in your life, a partnership, maybe with a platonic relationship, a familial relationship, or a romantic one. It just depends on your specific situation, but that is showing up here, having to do with whatever you are manifesting. And what you have here is also the face charm, and then next to it, the selfless charm. So you may have been, for a specific person in your life, which I'm going to just state again is probably that King of Swords or someone at least associated with him or with them, where you felt like you've had to give and give and give for whatever their specific reason is, and it's been a lot of emotional toll for you, and you're ready to walk away from that, so that I feel like you really are manifesting that. And next to it, you also had the Scorpio show up. So they may be, especially with that passion, it may be a Scorpio in which you are thinking about and in their sun, moon, or rising sign. But you also have here with Scorpio, it is about passionate. So it could mean a more passionate relationship here, especially since Scorpios have a lot of passion as well. And you had the passion card show up here. And so it either has something to do with a specific Scorpio in your life, and or has to do with that passion card. And the fact that it fell on the release moon of the last quarter moon is just telling me that you're ready to release them, or release this energy, so that you can have that passion come back in, so you can flip this from being about the Scorpio and being more about your passion and what you want to manifest, and less about their needs that they've sort of put on you. You're also gaining new perspective this week too, because you have the new perspective charm of the giraffe, because they can see very clearly, much higher, but they also are not insanely social creatures in the fact that they don't have vocal cords, because their necks are so long that they actually aren't able to make sounds. Like, have you ever thought about that? Isn't that insane? But anyway, I think you're ready to gain a new perspective. And like I said, you had the hacksaw here, which was all about trying to just hack something away too quickly, but then you also have the clean slate charm, which is all about, making a clean cut. So I think what you're really wanting to manifest, seeing as it comes right here next to the manifestation, is less so the hacking away, although that may happen, and is more about creating a clean slate for yourself, because you've gained a better perspective, probably from this reading or from other journaling methods or anything like that. Because you also have the key of luck showing up here too. So luck is on your side, which means either your spiritual team is on your side, or whatever you associate luck to, maybe even karma or something like that. But whatever it is, luck is on your side. You're ready to unlock something within yourself, or unlock this part of yourself, and that's going to come from luck, to gain this new perspective here. And lastly, like I said, for some of you, this has to do with the relationship you are currently in, or one that you have been manifesting for a while, or even are ready to manifest away from, because you have here the footing charm, because this really does look like a foot in person. It looks like a little wooden or like a turquoise foot. But it talks about gaining your footing again. So you have here next to the footing charm, the actual lock, and then next to it is the heart, and it's talking about like very committed love, and then you have the heart. So something feels locked right with them right now. Maybe you're trying to just again manifest some time for yourself, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to be with your partner 24/7 doing everything together, especially near the holidays. Sometimes you need your own space, and that is okay. But what's cool is that you have the key here and the lock, which whenever a key and a lock comes up, it just makes me feel like those two parts of the board are connected, right? So you're ready to unlock something with all this luck and greater perspective that you have to gain a new support system, a new footing, some better boundaries for yourself with this person so your passions can come through, and so that you can manifest what you actually want with them. It doesn't necessarily mean you're leaving them, but you're leaving this part of whatever this relationship was that wasn't working, and you're gaining a new perspective so you can gain a new footing, a new foundation with them, right? You're building new rules, new boundaries, a new space for yourself in that. And lastly here, just after the first quarter moon and towards the full moon here, you have the anchor charm, which is all about strength too. So seeing as it's coming up sort of between the action moon and then the moon after that with the full moon, is that you're trying to find your own inner strength, and that comes from working back within, right? Having that space for yourself, like I spoke about earlier, revitalizing that energy and being a little bit more playful. So that's really cool to be seeing. I'm going to go ahead and recap for you here. Group 2, you had such an interesting pile of a lot of different kinds of charms that are showing up here. So you're not like one specific thing, although a lot of them had to do with each other, but you do have dancing and other traditions that you may be changing, and even some more spiritual elements to your week, especially having to do with the summer or winter solstice here with the sun card showing up. So I really do think that maybe has an impact on you, whether you are watching this event happen or not. It does have some sort of effect on your life, right? Like, it's going to be, even if it's in the background, it's still affecting you. And where it's affecting you is what you want to manifest, and whether or not you're going to have these passions come forward, or whether or not someone's going to be sort of pushing you in your path. And that is, your decision to make, and what you're going to want to manifest for yourself. With a person or partnership, or just in general having to do with possibly a Scorpio here. So I really do think it is both a magical, passionate, sort of fun week, but it's one that's for yourself, right? You're letting yourself have your own time to recharge yourself, have some rest, in whatever way that is, dancing possibly, or with music, is going to be really important. So with all of that said, Group 2, I really do hope you enjoyed this reading here with me today. I would love to know what you think about it and some feedback down in the comments below, having to do with maybe the specific cards or the charms, as I always invite you to look at them and tell me what you think. If there's maybe a specific charm that I didn't talk about, or that truly resonates with you in a different way, definitely follow that intuition. It's going to be more personal to you specifically, as this is a collective reading. Sometimes there's going to be a charm that pops up and you're like, whoa, I know what that's about. So feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I'm always interested and love learning from you guys in that way. Also, please be sure to give this video a like if you did like it. It really does help this channel continue to flourish and grow, and I appreciate it so much. It's a simple thing to do, and it's a simple act, but I appreciate it highly. And lastly, if you are new to the channel and this is one of your first videos here with me, big warm welcome. I hope you're doing well during these holidays. Just so you know, I do readings like this every single Monday on your weekly sort of forecasts for the week, but I also do ones at the beginning of each month on your blessings, and I also do some timeless ones like this, very similarly, but on like your spiritual magical gifts and abilities and other sorts of ones that I put out. So if you're interested in any of that, please be sure to subscribe and join this community. I'd love to have you here. So with all of that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this reading, and I am wishing you the best for your week, and I will see you next time. Bye! Hello group 3, if you've decided to choose this golden angel holding this star, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set the angel down right here for you so you can see them during the reading, as today we are going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations. We're also going to be using the Language of Flowers deck, the spellcasting oracle, and we're also going to be using this deck of choice of the Linestrider Tarot. So I'm really excited to see the messages that come up for you, specifically group 3, especially with the holidays and all the different energy that gets tossed around this time of year. So let's go ahead and sort of dive into some of that. So Group 3, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for Group 3. What do we need to know about the week for Group 3? Group 3, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for Group 3 for their week ahead. Okay, so you also have here the star, which I actually did just this week bend this card. It was so sad. But here we are with the star, which I actually think is kind of fitting because the star does come after something that has been very difficult, and is a beacon of hope after that. So seeing as this is the card that got bent, it actually is kind of fitting, don't you think? So Group 3, we're looking for some more information on Group 3's week ahead. What do we need to know for Group 3 for the week ahead? So here you also have the moon. Let's see your final tarot card for the week. So Group 3, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for Group 3 here. So here we are with the Hermit card. So you have here the Hermit, the Moon, and the Star, all major arcana cards. So let's get some more information here with your week for the spellcasting oracle. So Group 3, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for Group 3. What do we need to know around this holiday season and this month? What do we need to know for this specific week for Group 3? Group 3. Woo! Okay. Let's see what we needed to hear. So you kind of had two different cards here that sort of spewed out at me that really resonated. And you had here protection first and foremost showing up. So protection. But then you also had here transformation and all these wonderful sort of gears happening within this image, right? So that is what you have here alongside these other tarot cards. Let's get some more information on your week with the Language of Flowers oracle. So Group 3, we're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for Group 3 for their week ahead. Group 3. For their week ahead. So you also have here clarity. Bright paths of understanding will open. You have clarity here. So that is that card. But we're going to go ahead and also pull you one more card with your watercolor affirmations, but stay tuned later for the reading in the video to see your charm casting for the week. So Group 3, we're looking, two different ones. So first off, you have look for the signs, and then in that card, or next to that card, you also had trust your inner sun. And neither one of them are deciding to really focus here. probably focusing on your angel. There we go. So it says, look for the signs. And for me personally, 404 is a personal sign. So I have that written there, but it might resonate with some of you. But you also have trust your inner sun, which is all about like your inner compass, your inner direction, your inner star, right? So that's really interesting that it even fell on the star card earlier. So let's go ahead and start deep diving into the messages here for your week, group 3. So first off, I want to talk about this protection and clarity and the moon showing up here. So the moon is all about illusion. It's about things being kind of lost in translation, because when you're out in the moonlight, they can make things have more of a shadow, have more of an illusion to them, feel a little bit more mysterious. And the moon is also about reflective energy too, of looking inward, which is all about this Hermit card as well, which is all about taking time to look inward for inner healing as well. Because with the Hermit, as you can see, there's these wounds that are happening within this specific card here that they're trying to work through, right? So it feels like all of this is just gushing out, and like it just feels like a lot, and you might be almost hyping this up a little bit because you have the illusion card next to it. So I feel like you need some clarity this week, to sort of realign yourself, maybe rebalance yourself too, because sometimes when we get this illusion like energy that the moon can bring, some people are highly affected by the moon, myself being one of those people. And sometimes a full moon will come along, and full moons are amazing, but they also can be a lot. Like it can bring up all these old emotions, it can bring up things that we weren't ready for, or it can actually just sort of dampen our mood. So just be sure that the mood that you have coming in isn't something that's coming from external forces or external energy of other people in your life. So I think a big part of that's going to come from, one, taking some time for yourself this week, which has been kind of a theme for all 3 of the different piles, about sort of taking time to look within, especially since a lot of us at the holidays have a lot of socializing, or just in general, maybe you feel a bit like this Hermit card too, especially with the type of year we're having. Maybe you're not with family or friends, and you feel sort of like stuck in this hermit stage, whether you wanted to or not, where you feel like you have to be the hermit. So there is sort of that energy of just feeling like things just don't make sense. Things just feel unclear. You're having to look deeper into some things that you weren't ready for this week. And so a lot of that's going to come from protecting yourself this week. And so I'm not just talking about protecting yourself, like locking your doors at night or something like that. I mean like emotionally and energetically protecting yourself. So this may be coming from needing to, it just keeps wanting to focus over here, but anyway, I feel like you just need to protect yourself energetically. So that can come from, some people meditate to sort of protect themselves energetically. Some people use crystals. I personally like to use protective crystals like this one, which is a big piece of obsidian. I'll just hold it around in my pocket or something like that. Other people like to clear their energy too, which can come from other things that aren't so woo-woo or spiritual. Some people will actually clean their space. So cleaning your room, cleaning your space can really get some of that energy that's been caught under pillows, under different things, all that emotion that gets caught in the corners of rooms. Just sweeping or moving some of that energy out of your space can create such a transformation for you, and just can bring so much more light to your space, make it feel lighter, so you can actually be this butterfly and fly around the room versus feeling stuck and like dusty and crusty in those spaces. So I think that there's just an energy that's sort of off right now, and really look into that. Trust yourself, trust your inner sun, trust that intuition, so that you can clean your space. And also clean your body too, because you have here the star showing up, and you can see she's sort of looking after herself too, because the star comes after the Tower card, which is all about, really big destructive moments happening in your life, things that you're having to break down walls, break down foundations that you've really held on to for a while. And so the star is the hope after that. So if you feel like you've been going through a lot of transformation recently, this is showcasing that hope is coming your way, that you have guidance coming your way, especially with the look for the signs as well as trust your inner sun showing up here. I really do think it's about listening to yourself, listening to what you need, listening to your your body's needs too, and listening to what the universe is sort of bringing in. So if you listen to any angels, especially since you chose the angel, I feel like maybe you work with angels or work with other winged spirits or something like that, because you also had that transformation here, which is showcasing more wings. You may even have that spiritual... Oh, and I even realized there are butterflies as well in this certain card. So I really do think there is some sort of element there having to do with signs, possibly to do with butterflies, although that's a very common one, or angels, or some sort of winged spirit is coming up here for me, because you also have it here within this card too of another winged bird. So I really do see that coming in, some sort of sign that you have spiritual help on your side to give you guidance. And so if you listen to some of those things, even if it's your own inner guidance, I really do think it's going to help you clean your energy, give protection to your energy and your space this week, because I think you really need that. Just clear out those patterns, clear out things you can have inner healing. You also have the star showing up here, right? Like that lantern, there's a star here, a 6-pointed star, I believe, too. So maybe that has something to do with you more specifically with the 6 points, as I felt like that was really important because it happens in both of them. But I really do think you're trying to carry that inner light for yourself, that guidance for yourself. And I know this is sounding a bit woo-woo for some of you, and I understand that, but at the heart of your week, it really is just about giving yourself your own specific time for yourself, and that there are things coming up from, illusions in our head that we've been building up, that we've been having these inner dialogues where we're building something up more than it actually is. It's an illusion. And it comes from that energy that's just sort of stuck in your space. So if you clean your space, clean your dishes, do your dishwasher, clean your laundry, clean the, mop the floor, do those sorts of things that never get touched, that energy that just gets stuck in the corner. Those things you don't always do. Do some of that, as well as looking after your body this week. And I think that's going to be a big part of it. But let's get some more information on your week here too, outside of just this energy that we're already seeing here with the charms. So let's go ahead and dive into those. So group 3 here, group 3. We're looking for any information, energy, insights, or guidance coming in for group 3. What do we need to know about group 3's week ahead? Okay, so you got a lot of chunky ones showing up here. So let's dive into some of those. All right, so I gave you guys a lot of charms, so I'm going to try to truck on through some of these and clean up the ones that fell upside down here. So yeah, let's see. Some of that in the G, Okay. Okay, so it just took me a minute to sort of clear some of these out, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in so you can see more of what is on the board here. Let's go ahead and start with your inner ring here. So first off, I was talking about earlier with trusting your inner sun, all of these different illusions that are popping up, maybe are coming from old things that have sort of bubbled up, because this is definitely something that's happening for a lot of us this week, apparently, because it's coming up in almost all 3 of the piles. But you have here like sticky, icky energy that is just no good. This is the inky heart. It's just things that feel like the 3 of Swords that just sort of cut through you, that aren't great, that you possibly are healing from the past. Possibly even from your childhood here too, because just so you guys know, this is a little 6th grader me, and I include this charm in my charm collection because it's just showcasing, our innocence, our young, naive self, and that sometimes we have certain inner demons that come back from that are coming back from the past for you, that, like I said, some of that energy has just been sitting in the corner of rooms and you haven't been able to clear some of that out or shed it away. So maybe journaling through it, working through it, even possibly through music too, if you want to go back to some nostalgia, or just diving and changing some of that, because you have here the charm of music showing up here, but you also have that next to the charm of changing up your style. So this is changing up your physical appearance. So you may be changing your appearance this week, trying to look a little different, changing things around. You maybe even for your inner child too, like maybe from your childhood. Maybe you're trying to change up something on those lines. Maybe because you want to move away from your younger self, or maybe to reconnect with your younger self this week, because that's showing up here, especially with Trust Your Inner Sun too, that the sun talks about our younger, playful side of ourselves, so that may be showing up, but you have something coming in here about insecurity. So if you are trying to change up your style, you're trying to change and do something different, because you have that moon sort of showing up and all this old energy that's just stuck in the corners of rooms or stuck in the corners of spaces within yourself, because you have that Hermit card, it's making me feel like you maybe are stuck in a place right now where you feel like you're just having to cycle through that or overly think through it as well, that it creates this like sticky energy that you can't move forward towards these new ideas that you have on what you want for your appearance, how you want to be perceived by other people, because you feel like you have to stay or sit in this old form of yourself, and you don't. It's time to move forward. That energy has gone, you can reconnect with it and you can rekindle that if you need to, but if you feel stuck in it, it's time to move forward, because you have several charms showcasing washing something away, because you have the washer charm, and then you also have the charm of the new moon, which is about cleaning your space, cleansing, and also taking away that illusion, right? Because it's the opposite side to the full moon here. It's the new moon. It's when everything is a new cycle and you get to start anew. So there's something that's just been sort of sticking in that energy, and you're ready for some closure, because you also have the closure charm coming up here next to the sewing charm. So some of you may be sewing or working through different fiber related projects, because this can also be something less on a like oracle side, and could just be legit. Some of you are just interested in sewing this week, maybe even sewing something with buttons, seeing as they fell next to each other. But for the actual oracle side of this, that does talk about what are you trying to mend together. So maybe it is trying to mend again back to that nostalgic side of yourself, or trying to mend something that happened from your childhood that is just resurfacing this week, because that definitely happens at the holidays for some people who didn't maybe have the best childhood growing up, or didn't have the best holidays, or something like that, where it's just this energy is stuck there. And like I said, you felt like you were mending something, and you have the charm of blending. This is the blending charm, because it feels like you're blending that black and white, that light and dark. And you have it on the release moon. So you're trying to release something away. You're trying to move away, because whatever it is that you're trying to wash and you feel maybe stuck or that's staying on you, it has no value to you, because you have the no cash value. So this can be talking about less on the finances, but seeing as you don't have as many financial charms showing up here, it's more showcasing me that it has no value in your life. Whatever this was, it doesn't have to reflect who you are now, right? It doesn't have to, and it definitely already isn't, because you know who you truly are, and it's just that you now have to make those steps to move through those and have that closure come in, so you can decide to be the person you want to be, right? But let's go ahead and look at some of these other charms. You also have the charm of this is my dog Cody from when I was growing up, and so this talked about younger people in our lives, or pets in general, and even for me, because he felt like a brother to me, like a younger or an older brother, a very wise presence. So for some of you, you may just feel like you're having to talk to someone who is very young in your life, or get comfort from someone who's very young in your life, because you also have these spoony charms showing up here. So some of you may be spoonies, which, if you know who you are, if you are, so you may have to just be very careful with the amount of spoons that you're using. And also, maybe that has to be that you need to put some of those spoons towards comforts again for your life, taking some of that time for preparing for other bigger events that are going to happen, so that you can save up some of that energy if you need to, because you have the preparation or prepared charm coming up next to it. But let's go ahead and dive into this little section of the board because a lot showed up here. So as we talked about earlier, you had the insecurity charm, where it has more to do with the insecurities that come from the inner side of ourselves, that hermit side of ourselves. You also have the insecurity charm as well, but this has more to do with like insecurities in terms of like protecting yourself, right? You don't feel as safe or as protected. Things feel more illusions. Maybe you've been having nightmares, or you've been having things that are signs that are just showcasing like maybe you don't feel as protected by your spiritual team, or you need to reconnect with them. And that's showing up here as well. And seeing as I had the 404 show up, and generally for me, 4 talks about security, and 404 in general does talk about your angels coming back into your space. So they are protecting you, and they are very much looking after you at this current moment when you see that number. So seeing as you had the 4, and it also has 4 has to talk about foundations and security, I think that's really sweet that it's popping up here. You also have the bolt charm, which represents being bolted down by their love, possibly too, or feeling very like safe and like protected and bolted down. You have that security, that foundation under you, so you don't have to have these insecurities come in, so that illusion doesn't start to take over you, and that can be erased. Because I think some of that also is causing a little bit of envy and jealousy in your life too, that illusion, because you have the jealous heart showing up here as well, possibly jealous of what other people have, especially your friends in your life, because you have the mittens of kindness. So this talks to me about unconditional love and friendship showing up here. So you may just feel like you have less protection, maybe on a spiritual sense, but do realize that there are friends in your life. There's other people to talk to right now that maybe you feel like jealous of them or envious of them or what they have, or you feel like you had this like caution hat on, that you just couldn't talk to them about something. You felt very cautious, very like protective of your energy, that you haven't been able to open up to some of them. So definitely open up at this time, because they really do have your back, and they can really help you maybe even clean your space if you really need their help, or to talk through whatever these old binds are that you're trying to close back up, these wounds that you're trying to close back up. So with all of that said, group 3 here, you have a very, not necessarily eventful week, but it is a very reflective week. Like, your angels are there. You have somebody that is on your side, both physically as in your friends or family. You have yourself on your side. Don't forget that you are a very powerful protector in your life. And then you also have sort of pets showing up. So please be aware that you have, like in all corners of your life, you have protection coming in some form or another. It's just making sure that there isn't that illusion there where you're sort of hyping things up to make it seem like they aren't there for you, or you have some sort of inner dialogue that's telling you like, no, they're not there for you, or no, I couldn't ever tell them that, or they would never believe me, or something like that. And just flipping the switch on that, because please be aware they are, if you reach out and have like a really nice conversation, because you may have felt very hermited in, possibly not even by choice. So I really think that that's going to be transforming for you this week. Some of those gears are going to be coming back in, so you can gain some of that clarity and guidance again from those in your life, so that you can have that inner guidance, that inner sun, that healing that you need, because clarity is also showing up here, which is telling me more on the physical side of your life, that you are cleaning up some of this. So you're cleaning up healing that you need on a spiritual or energetic level, but that also can come from things externally. So taking a bath, taking a shower, taking your space and really cleaning it, not just cleaning like the little itsy bitsy things, like cleaning up a plate and putting it away. Like, some of those deeper cleanings maybe need to be happening within your space, so that you can have some of this inner healing happen. Because there are certain thoughts that have no value to you anymore. It's time to have that closure come in, time to clean up some of this energy. Also, if you are a spoonie, making sure to be aware of the energy that you are exerting, and also to find comfort in your life from pets or younger ones in your life, especially if they are young too. How much spoons you're using to look after them at this time too could be very important to you this week, and at least being prepared for that. And I really do see you changing up your style, changing up your music, or reconnecting to your inner self, whether to heal or for the nostalgic element. That's really coming to the forefront as well for you this week, group 3. So like I said, it's not necessarily super eventful, as in like really big events are happening necessarily, although they could be. They're just not being highlighted here. What's being highlighted is more inner healing, protection, and cleansing. So I think that's really lovely to see, and it's really good energy for a lot of us, especially during the holidays when all this stuff can sometimes bubble up. So I really do hope you enjoyed this reading here today. Please let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed it and if it resonated, especially with these different charms, since we had a lot show up here. I'd be very interested to know if certain ones resonated with you on a more personal level, or even the cards themselves. But with that said, also, please be sure to give this video a like if you really did enjoy this reading. It really does help this channel continue to flourish and grow, and I appreciate it so much. So thank you to each of you who have liked the video thus far. And lastly, if you are new to the channel and this is one of your first videos here with me, a big warm welcome. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading. I do these readings like this every single Monday on your weekly sort of forecast. I also do at the beginning of each month your blessings for the month. And lastly, I also do some timeless videos too, and some other fun ones that you can check out, like on ones in your spiritual and magical gifts and abilities and what you're most proud of within yourself. So if you're interested in any of that, feel free to subscribe and join in on this wonderful community of tarot and charm loving people. I'd love to have you guys here. And with that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.